Welcome to Crafted Nest, a place where ordinary things find extraordinary new life. Today, we'll uncover simple yet inspiring DIY transformations that you can recreate right at home. Every idea is designed to spark your creativity, turning forgotten objects into timeless garden treasures. If you enjoy discovering beauty and simplicity, don't forget to subscribe to Crafted Nest, so together we can keep building a world full of handmade wonders. Have you ever held an old teacup and wondered if it could live another life beyond dusty shelves or forgotten cupboards? The charm of porcelain, once part of morning rituals and gentle family conversations, doesn't have to fade. With just a touch of imagination, a teacup can become a sanctuary, not for tea, but for life with wings. Picture this, a delicate floral teacup, perched high on a slender wooden pole. Instead of steaming tea, it cradles bird seeds. In no time, sparrows or finches flutter by, resting gracefully on the rim, chirping with delight as they peck at their small feast. Suddenly, your garden isn't just about plants. It becomes a stage where nature performs in real time, a place where birds' song mingles with the rustle of leaves. This little project doesn't demand wealth or complex skills. All you need is a sturdy adhesive or a metal bracket to secure the cup, a pole or branch for height, and a sprinkle of seeds. That's it. The transformation happens almost instantly. What makes the teacup feeder truly special is the story it tells. A cup that once held tea at your grandmother's table now invites the morning birds. It bridges past and present, memory and renewal. And every time you see it, you're reminded that beauty doesn't always come from buying something new. It often blooms from reimagining what you already have. And here's the gentle secret. You're not just feeding birds. You're feeding stillness, joy, and connection in your own space. In the quiet of early morning, as the sun warms your garden, these little winged visitors become companions, turning ordinary corners into extraordinary moments. So save those forgotten cups. Let them rise again, this time as tiny vessels of life, love, and melody in your garden. In every garden, borders tell quiet stories. They guide our eyes, frame our plants, and mark the line where soil meets stone. But who said borders must be dull or ordinary? Imagine old, forgotten bricks, dusty from years of neglect, reborn with color, patterns, and a touch of joy. A single brushstroke is enough to change their fate. One brick becomes the canvas for a sunflower. Another blooms with pastel blues and pinks. Yet another carries childlike doodles, hearts, swirls, even playful polka dots. Suddenly, what was once plain and heavy becomes a chorus of cheerful edges that frame your plants like a painted poem. The beauty of this idea lies not in perfection, but in the freedom it gives you. You don't need professional skills or costly paint. Even the smallest hands in your family can join, turning an afternoon into a memory, paint-splattered smiles, laughter, and bricks drying under the sun. Once the bricks are lined up along your flower beds, pathways, or herb garden, they transform the space. The vibrant colors highlight the greens and blossoms, making every plant stand taller, prouder, framed like artwork in a living gallery. And every time you step outside, you see more than plants. You see creativity, playfulness, and the simple joy of doing it yourself. There's something grounding about painted bricks. They remind us that beauty often comes from the overlooked, from the effort we choose to give. It's not just a border, it's a statement that gardens, like life, are richer when touched by color and love. So next time you see a pile of old bricks, don't dismiss them as rubble. Pick up a brush, add your story, and let your garden smile back at you in every shade you paint. Sometimes, beauty hides in the most unexpected places, like the corner of a room where an old drawer waits, forgotten and unused. Its handle is loose, its paint chipped, its purpose seemingly gone. Yet with a little imagination, that drawer can return to life, not in the bedroom, but in the garden. Picture it standing proudly on gravel or nestled in a small patch of grass, its hollow space cradling fresh soil. Out of it springs basil, mint, daisies, or pansies, smiling toward the sun. Suddenly, a once discarded piece of furniture becomes a vessel of life, a planter with character and charm. What makes an upcycled drawer planter so special is the personality it carries. No two drawers are the same. One might be painted pastel pink, holding trailing petunias cascading like soft waterfalls. Another might keep its natural, weathered wood, its cracks telling quiet stories while herbs grow tall from within. Some even choose to stack drawers at playful angles, creating a tiered cascade of greenery, a living sculpture in the garden. The process is simple. Clean the drawer, line it if necessary, fill it with soil, and choose plants that thrive in shallow spaces. The beauty is that you don't need to buy anything new. What was once destined for the trash becomes the highlight of your garden, a piece that sparks conversation and admiration. More than just a planter, each drawer becomes a memory keeper. Maybe it belonged to your old desk, or maybe it was part of your grandmother's cabinet. Now, instead of gathering dust, it gathers life. And as the seasons change, so too does its story, flower by flower, leaf by leaf. In the end, it isn't just about plants. It's about rediscovering potential in the overlooked and letting your garden grow not only in greenery, but in soul. In the quiet corners of every home, bottle caps collect, scattered after family meals, tucked away in drawers, or tossed into bins without a second thought. Alone, they seem small and disposable, but gathered together, they bloom. They become flowers, stars, and patterns of color that can turn a plain fence or wall into a joyful garden tapestry. Imagine walking into your backyard and seeing sunflowers made not of petals, but of yellow and orange bottle caps, their centers built from darker shades. Nearby, blue and green caps swirl into daisy-like shapes, a playful dance of man-made color blending with the greens of real leaves below. It's unexpected, whimsical, and wonderfully sustainable. This idea is more than just decoration. It's a statement of transformation. It whispers that beauty doesn't always come from store-bought things, but from what we choose to see differently. Every cap carries a story, a soda shared with friends, a weekend picnic, a family dinner. And together, these tiny memories form a living canvas that brightens your garden day after day. The process is simple and welcoming. Collect your caps, paint them if you'd like brighter tones, and arrange them into flowers or patterns on wood boards, fences, or even garden stakes. There's no right or wrong design, only what your imagination allows. It's a project where children and adults can join together, hands covered in glue and colors, laughter spilling into the afternoon sun. And the best part? These flowers never wilt. They don't thirst for water or fade with the season. They stay resilient and cheerful, reminding you every day that what's often seen as waste can become wonder. So save your caps. Let them bloom again, not in the recycling bin, but in the heart of your garden, where joy and creativity live side by side. There's something magical about giving a second life to what others would throw away. A tin can, once a container for soup or paint, seems destined for the bin. But with a splash of paint, a few holes for drainage, and a handful of soil, it becomes a tiny vessel of life. A planter, humble yet alive with color and green. Picture a row of cans painted in playful pastels, lined neatly along a garden fence. Lavender reaches skyward, mint spills gently over the edges, and daisies beam at the sun. Each can tell its own story, some brushed with floral patterns, others left raw and rustic, carrying the dents of their past like quiet badges of character. What makes recycled tin can planters so special isn't just their look, it's their accessibility. You don't need to buy fancy pots or visit a garden center. The materials are already in your kitchen, waiting for a second chance. And when you gather them, Line them up and let plants grow inside. You're not only creating beauty, you're making a statement that life thrives when we choose to see possibility in the forgotten. There's also a rhythm in the process. The soft scratch of a paintbrush against metal, the earthy scent of soil filling each can, the first drops of water darkening the dirt as you press seedlings into place. These small, almost meditative moments are what make gardening with tin cans deeply personal. And when you step back, the transformation feels almost poetic. From something that once carried food, now grows food or flowers of its own. It's proof that the smallest acts, saving a can, planting a seed, can ripple outward into beauty. So don't let those cans disappear into the trash. Let them sing again, this time under sunlight, holding the roots of something new. There's a quiet kind of music that doesn't come from radios or speakers. It comes from the wind itself, whispering through old spoons, forks, and knives, once part of family meals and now reborn as gentle instruments in the garden. Each piece of cutlery carries its own story, some polished smooth by years of use, others scratched and worn, all ready for a new song. Imagine standing in your garden on a breezy afternoon. The air moves and suddenly a soft, irregular melody begins, clinks and chimes, light and playful, like laughter carried on the wind. The sound isn't perfect, but that's exactly what makes it beautiful. It feels authentic, grounded, alive. Creating cutlery wind chimes is simpler than you might think. A piece of wood or a sturdy branch becomes the frame. Fishing line, string, or even old wire ties each utensil in place. The spoons and forks dangle at different lengths, waiting for the breeze to set them in motion. You don't need to buy a thing. All the materials are already in your drawers, waiting to be noticed. What makes this project meaningful is not just the sound, but the way it transforms memory. A fork that once served Sunday dinners now becomes part of your garden's voice. A spoon that stirred morning coffee now greets you with a metallic song each evening. It's recycling, yes, but it's also remembrance, a way of carrying stories into a new season of life. And the charm extends beyond sound. When sunlight hits the swaying cutlery, small reflections scatter across the ground, dancing among the herbs and flowers. It's as if the garden itself is alive with sparkle and song. So the next time you find old utensils too worn to serve at the table, don't throw them away. Hang them, let them sing, and let your garden speak with music made of memory. Paths don't always need to lead somewhere. Sometimes, they simply invite us to slow down, to wander gently, and to notice the small beauty at our feet. That is the quiet magic of mosaic stepping stones. They are more than just a way to cross a garden. They are stories pieced together from fragments once forgotten. Picture a pathway where every step rests on art. A single stone sparkles with shards of a once broken teacup, its delicate blues and whites forming a floral design. Another glows with bits of old tiles, arranged into swirling spirals of green and yellow. Each stone is different, yet together they create a rhythm, a mosaic of memory guiding you through flowers and herbs. The process itself feels like meditation. You sit with a mold filled with wet cement and gently press in pieces of glass, ceramic, or broken plates. The sound of each shard finding its place, the way colors line up unexpectedly, creates not just a stepping stone, but a moment of stillness. There is no need for perfection. The joy lies in the play of arranging, in allowing brokenness to bloom into something new. When the stones are set and placed in the garden, the transformation is undeniable. Morning dew clings to their surfaces, catching light like jewels. Children skip from one to the next, delighting in the patterns. Guests pause, bending low to admire the details, realizing that beauty can come from the simplest of fragments. In truth, mosaic stepping stones remind us of life itself. That even broken pieces, when cared for and placed with love, can become part of something whole and beautiful. And every time you walk across them, you'll feel not just the ground beneath you, but the art of resilience, joy, and creativity beneath your feet. In the hush of early morning, when dew lingers on the leaves and the air carries the scent of fresh basil, a garden speaks softly through its details. Among the greens, little signs appear, chalkboard markers, handwritten with care. They are more than labels, they are voices, whispering the names of herbs and flowers, giving personality to every patch of soil. Imagine bending down to harvest rosemary and seeing its name scrawled in looping letters, perhaps with a tiny sketch of a sprig beside it. Or spotting mint marked by a playful sun doodle, drawn in a moment of joy. These small touches transform a garden from a collection of plants into a living diary, each sign carrying the warmth of the hands that wrote it. The beauty of chalkboard plant signs is their simplicity. A sliver of wood brushed with chalkboard paint becomes a canvas you can reuse again and again. Plant something new? Erase and write a new name. Feel creative? Add a heart, a flower, even a small poem. The signs change with the seasons, just as your garden does, a cycle of renewal written in chalk. But it isn't only about practicality. These signs invite you to pause, to smile, to connect. Guests walking through your garden don't just see basil or thyme. They see your handwriting, your humor, your heart. And if children are part of the process, the joy doubles, their small hands scribbling names and pictures, leaving little marks of their imagination among the plants. At dusk, when the chalk fades slightly under soft golden light, the garden feels alive in a way no store-bought labels could match. It's personal. It's poetic. It's yours. So pick up a piece of wood, a brush of paint, and a stick of chalk. Let your plants wear names. Let your garden sing in handwriting, and let simplicity become beauty with every sign you write. In the quiet embrace of a garden, there is something deeply calming about watching plants climb. They stretch, twist, and reach for the sun, whispering stories of persistence. And what better way to honor that journey than with a simple pergola made from bamboo, light in the hand, strong in the soil, and timeless in its beauty. Picture a humble frame rising from the earth, tied together with coarse rope or twine. It doesn't boast grandeur, nor does it need to. It stands steady, a silent companion for vines that long to ascend. Morning glories curl gracefully along its sides, while jasmine threads its way upward, filling the air with fragrance as evening falls. Even the smallest space transforms when green tendrils weave into a living canopy above. The charm of a bamboo pergola lies in its simplicity. You don't need heavy tools or expensive supplies. A few bamboo sticks, some twine, and a patient heart are enough. As you tie each knot, you feel connected to tradition, to nature, to the art of creating something with your own hands. And the reward is slow but profound. Each day, the vines climb a little higher, turning the bare structure into a soft green shelter. Sunlight filters through leaves, casting shifting patterns on the ground. Beneath its shade, you might place a bench, a candle, or even just a moment of stillness. This tiny pergola becomes more than support for plants. It becomes a sanctuary for you, a reminder that growth is steady, quiet, and beautiful. With bamboo and patience, even a forgotten corner of your garden can feel like a poem written in green. So gather your sticks, tie them with care, and let your vines find their way skyward. Because in watching them climb, you just might learn how to rise, too. Sometimes, the walls around us are not barriers but blank canvases, waiting for imagination to take root. Old wooden crates, once used to carry fruit or bottles, can find new life as vertical shelves, lifting plants upward toward the light and turning even the smallest corners into thriving green galleries. Picture a stack of crates leaning gently against a wall. Some left rustic, their wood darkened by age, others brushed with pastel paint that glows in the sun. Inside them sit pots of basil, thyme, and rosemary, a watering can resting nearby, a candle tucked on one shelf to glow softly at dusk. Each crate becomes a little stage where plants perform, framed not in glass, but in wood that once carried another story. The joy of vertical crate shelves lies in their honesty. They don't pretend to be polished or perfect. They simply serve, sturdy, useful, and full of character. And in doing so, they prove that gardening doesn't always require sprawling yards or costly furniture. With a few crates and a vision, Even the narrowest alley or smallest balcony can become alive with greenery. Building them is as personal as it is practical. Some may hang crates on walls for a floating effect, others stack them for a tiered garden tower. You can leave gaps for climbing plants to spill through, or line them neatly with rows of succulents. Each arrangement is yours alone, a reflection of your style, your rhythm, your care. And when you step back, you'll see more than plants. You'll see possibility, ordinary objects turned into extraordinary spaces. The crates, once forgotten, now hold not just herbs and flowers, but a piece of your creativity, reminding you that growth can rise even where space seems scarce. Sometimes the most ordinary tools, once retired from their purpose, hold secret potential. A ladder, worn from years of climbing and carrying weight, doesn't have to end in the corner of a shed. With a little imagination, it can rise again, this time not to reach rooftops, but to lift life itself. Picture a ladder leaning gently against a garden wall. Each step cradles a pot, lavender stretching tall on the top rung, mint cascading softly from the middle, and daisies glowing bright near the bottom. Suddenly, the ladder becomes more than wood and nails. It becomes a tiered stage where plants stand in harmony, each given its place in the sun. What makes an old ladder plant stand special is its blend of practicality and poetry. You don't need tools beyond your hands. Dust it off, give it a coat of pastel paint if you wish, or let its natural weathered character remain as part of the charm. Then place pots with care, balancing herbs, flowers, and perhaps even a lantern to glow at dusk. The beauty lies in its flexibility. A small ladder fits perfectly on a balcony, while a taller one transforms an empty wall into a green sculpture. And because it rises vertically, it saves precious floor space, making it ideal for tiny gardens or urban corners where every inch matters. But beyond the plants it holds, a ladder plant stand also carries memory. Each step once supported feet reaching upward. Now it supports roots and leaves reaching skyward. It reminds us that usefulness never truly fades, it only changes form. So the next time you see an old ladder leaning in neglect, don't pass it by. Stand it tall, give it purpose, and let it carry life once more. Not upward toward rooftops, but toward beauty in your garden. Sometimes, a garden is not defined by its size, but by the way we choose to see it. In small spaces, mirrors become more than decoration. They become windows to possibility, multiplying greenery and light until even the tiniest balcony feels like an endless sanctuary. Imagine a weathered brick wall adorned with an ornate mirror, its frame carrying whispers of another era. The glass reflects trailing vines, making them appear doubled, as though the garden stretches further than the eye first believed. Or picture a narrow balcony where round mirrors scatter reflections of sky and leaves, turning a modest corner into a dreamlike passageway of green and light. The beauty of mirror illusion walls lies in their ability to transform perception. They invite imagination, giving depth where space is limited and brightness where shadows linger. With every glance, the garden feels renewed, as though offering hidden rooms of reflection just beyond reach. Yet, like all things, they ask for care. Mirrors placed outdoors must consider the life around them. Birds, often fooled by reflections, need thoughtful positioning. Perhaps mirrors hung low, softened by vines, or angled to diffuse light. When balanced with mindfulness, mirrors bring not only visual magic, but harmony, too. Creating such a feature is wonderfully simple. Old mirrors found at thrift shops, flea markets, or even tucked away in attics can be repurposed. Arrange them playfully, mix sizes and shapes, and let your garden walls become galleries of reflection. Each piece adds not just depth, but a story of where it came from and what it now holds. And when the golden hour sun kisses the glass, scattering warm light across leaves and petals, your garden transforms into something larger than life, a secret haven of reflection, illusion, and quiet wonder. As evening drapes itself gently over the garden, There is a magic that begins not in the flowers or leaves, but in the quiet flicker of light. Glass jars, once simple containers in a kitchen, find new purpose as lanterns, glowing softly, tied with herbs, and transforming every corner into a sanctuary of warmth. Picture a line of jars resting on stone steps, each cradling a tiny flame. Rosemary sprigs tied around their rims release their fragrance as the heat rises, blending the scent of herbs with the hush of night. Or imagine jars hanging delicately from branches, swaying gently in the breeze, their lights like captured stars guiding you through the garden. The beauty of glass jar herb lanterns is in their simplicity. They don't demand expensive tools or rare materials. A few recycled jars, some twine, a candle or a string of lights, and a touch of herbs are all it takes. Yet the effect is profound. The garden feels intimate, almost enchanted, as though it has been waiting for nightfall to reveal its softer side. Each lantern carries its own story. Perhaps one jar once held pickles, another jam from last summer. Now they glow with new purpose, gathering people closer, friends sharing laughter under their light, families resting after a long day, or someone alone with a cup of tea, savoring silence. And there is care, too. For those who wish to avoid open flames, solar lights or battery candles offer the same glow with peace of mind. What matters most isn't the flame itself, but the atmosphere created, the invitation to slow down, breathe, and let the night settle gently around you. In these small lanterns, beauty is not grand or loud. It is humble, fragrant, and glowing, a reminder that even the simplest things can illuminate our lives. What once gave light to a room can now give life to a garden. An old light bulb, fragile yet clear, becomes a tiny world when repurposed as a terrarium. Suspended in the air, it cradles soil, moss, and the smallest of plants, transforming what was once ordinary into a floating poem of nature. Picture this, a row of bulbs hanging gently from a balcony railing, each one holding a sprig of green, a patch of moss, or a delicate succulent. The sunlight pours through their glass, making the little gardens inside sparkle as though they were jewels. When the breeze passes, they sway softly, like lanterns carrying whispers of life. The charm of hanging bulb terrariums lies not only in their beauty, but in their intimacy. Each bulb is a world of its own, a miniature ecosystem that reminds us how life can thrive even in the smallest spaces. They ask for little, just a pinch of soil, a few pebbles, and plants that love simplicity, like air plants or succulents. Yet they offer so much in return, a sense of wonder, a conversation starter, and a daily reminder that even what's fragile can hold resilience. The process is gentle, almost meditative. Hollow out the bulb carefully, tie it with twine or thin wire, and fill it with your chosen greenery. Place them where light can reach, but where storms can't harm. Safety matters, for glass is delicate. But handled with care, these tiny terrariums glow with life in a way few decorations can. At dawn, they catch the first rays of light. At dusk, they shimmer like captured stars. And all the while, they carry a quiet message. Beauty doesn't need grandeur. Sometimes, it lives inside the smallest of vessels, waiting to be seen. Not all art belongs in galleries. Sometimes, it grows quietly in gardens, framed not by canvas, but by wood and leaves. An old picture frame, once used to hold portraits or landscapes, can be reborn as living artwork, a plant suspended within, telling a story of renewal and creativity. Imagine a weathered wooden frame hung against a sunlit fence. Instead of paint, it holds a pot of ivy spilling downward, its leaves cascading like brushstrokes across the wood. Another frame, ornate and golden, showcases a patch of moss and a single air plant, its delicate shape appearing like a sculpture against the sky. Together, the frames turn an ordinary wall into a gallery, one alive, ever-changing with the seasons. What makes framed plant wall art special is its blend of elegance, and simplicity. It doesn't require advanced skills or expensive tools. A forgotten frame from the attic, a plant that thrives in small spaces, and the willingness to see your wall as a canvas are enough to begin. Some may choose trailing vines for movement, others succulents for texture, or even bright flowers for bursts of color. Every choice creates a different story, unique to the gardener's heart. And the beauty isn't just visual. Framed plants bring dimension to small spaces, lifting greenery upward where ground space is scarce. They invite people to pause, to admire, to see that gardens aren't only grown in soil, they can bloom on walls, too. As the sun sets, shadows from leaves stretch across the frame, creating art that shifts with every hour. This living wall becomes more than decoration. It becomes a reminder that life, like art, is not static. It grows, changes, and thrives when given the chance. So, dust off those forgotten frames. Let them hold not pictures, but plants. And let your garden tell its own story, framed in green. Not every cactus needs water, and not every plant must grow to bring joy. Sometimes, all it takes is a stone, a brush, and a splash of green paint. Painted rock cacti are playful, charming, and wonderfully accessible. Perfect for those who love gardens but may not have the greenest of thumbs. Picture a small terracotta pot on a sunny windowsill. Instead of soil and thorns, it holds smooth pebbles painted in shades of green, dotted with white lines to mimic cactus spines. Some stones are tall and oval, standing like proud saguaros, while others are round, resembling plump succulents. Together, they form a cactus family that will never wither, never thirst, and yet always bring a smile. This project is delightfully simple. Gather stones, flat, smooth ones work best. Paint them in layers of green, adding stripes, dots, or tiny flower accents for personality. Once dry, nestle them into pots filled with sand or small pebbles, arranging them like a desert garden in miniature. The result is so convincing that, at a glance, visitors may lean closer just to check if they're real. But the true beauty of painted rock cacti lies beyond appearance. It's in the act of creation itself, the gentle rhythm of brushstrokes, the laughter of children joining in, the freedom to play without worrying about watering schedules or soil types. It's gardening reimagined, where art and nature meet in cheerful disguise. Placed on balconies, shelves, or tucked into garden corners, these painted stones bring life where plants might struggle. They are reminders that creativity has no limits, that joy can bloom even from the most ordinary of materials. So gather your stones, dip your brush, and let your imagination paint a garden that thrives forever. No watering can required. In every garden, there are quiet guardians, poles that stand tall among the herbs and flowers. Often they go unnoticed, simple wood or PVC left bare. But with a little creativity, these poles can become art themselves, splashes of color, strokes of imagination, cheerful markers that make a garden sing with personality. Imagine a row of poles rising above basil and marigolds, each painted differently. One wears candy stripes of red and white, another swirls with blues and yellows like a summer sky. Yet another carries hand-drawn flowers, hearts, or patterns painted by children. Together, they don't just support plants, they support joy. The process is as simple as it is playful. Gather unused poles, wooden dowels, PVC pipes, even old curtain rods. Wash them, let them dry, then paint them with bright colors using outdoor acrylic paints. You might add patterns, write words of encouragement, or let children doodle freely. Each pole becomes unique, reflecting the hands that made it. When placed among the greenery, these decorated poles change the garden's rhythm. Instead of blending into the background, they stand proudly, catching the eye and lifting the mood. They become talking points, memory markers, and symbols of a garden filled not only with plants, but with creativity. And in the smallest spaces, they work wonders. A narrow balcony with just a few pots feels alive when a painted pole peeks between the leaves, whispering color into the air. On a sunny day, their patterns shine. At dusk, they soften into silhouettes of quiet art. This is the heart of DIY, finding beauty in what is ordinary, turning a simple stick into a brushstroke of life. In the end, the garden grows not only with roots and leaves, but with the imagination you plant alongside them. In some gardens, beauty grows upward from the soil. In others, it floats gently above, swaying softly in the breeze. A macrame hanging shelf transforms ordinary space into something poetic, a stage in the air where plants, candles, and memories can rest together. Picture a balcony corner bathed in afternoon light. From the ceiling, a woven macrame rope cradles a wooden shelf, and on it sit small terracotta pots filled with herbs and succulents. A trailing ivy spills gracefully down, catching the sunlight as it sways. In the evening, a candle glows beside the greenery, turning the shelf into a lantern of life and warmth. The beauty of a DIY macrame plant shelf is that it combines craft and nature in one gentle embrace. With only cotton rope, a wooden board, and patient hands, you can weave a pattern of knots that holds not just plants, but a piece of your creativity. Some designs are simple, others intricate, but all carry the same spirit, the joy of making something with your own hands. It's also a perfect solution for small spaces. When the floor is crowded with pots, look upward. The air above is still yours to fill. Hanging shelves give height and rhythm to a garden, drawing the eye upward and creating layers of greenery that feel lush, abundant, and alive. More than decor, these shelves become moments. A place to sip tea beneath, to pause and admire how the sunlight filters through leaves, to remember that beauty can hang lightly above us. Even the gentle motion of the plants, swaying when the wind passes, feels like a reminder that life moves with grace. So gather your rope, choose your wood, and let your hands weave rhythm into the air. Let your garden rise, not just from the ground, but from the sky above. As the sun dips low and twilight brushes the edges of the sky, the garden begins to change. The bright laughter of daylight softens into whispers, and in this quiet shift, candlelight feels like a small miracle. Terracotta pots, humble, earthy, and timeless, become vessels of glow, their clay surfaces warming beneath the flicker of flame. Picture a row of small terracotta pots, some stacked like tiny towers, others turned upside down with tea lights resting neatly on top. Their glow lines a garden path, guiding steps with a gentle rhythm of light. Some remain bare, their clay aged and weathered by time. Others are brushed with pastel colors or painted with floral patterns, each flame reflecting the care poured into them. The beauty of these candle holders lies in their simplicity. A pot so ordinary, often overlooked at the edge of a garden shop, becomes a source of atmosphere and comfort. You don't need electricity, fancy lanterns, or expensive decor. Just a pot, a candle, and a willingness to let the evening unfold slowly. And the feeling they create is profound. Imagine sitting outside with a cup of tea, the air scented with basil and rosemary as the terracotta glows softly beside you. The flicker of firelight dances against leaves and flowers, reminding you of the old truth, that peace doesn't always come in grand gestures, but often in the smallest of lights. For safety, you may choose battery candles or solar-powered lights tucked into the pots, offering the same glow without worry. Either way, the effect is the same, an invitation to pause, to breathe, to feel your garden become a sanctuary as the day closes. In each pot, a flame. In each flame, a moment of stillness. Sometimes that's all a garden needs. In a world overflowing with plastic waste, there is a quiet satisfaction in transforming what would be discarded into something alive. A plastic bottle, once emptied and forgotten, can become a vessel of growth, lined up, hung, or stacked to create a vertical garden that is both sustainable and beautiful. Picture a wooden wall covered with rows of bottles, each one cut neatly, filled with soil, and home to herbs like basil, mint, and parsley. Their green leaves spill forward, softening the look of the plastic, until the bottles themselves almost disappear beneath the life they hold. Or imagine colorful bottles strung together on ropes, dangling from a balcony, with bright flowers trailing downward like living curtains. The charm of a recycled plastic bottle vertical garden lies in its practicality. It saves space, making it perfect for balconies, small yards, or even narrow alleys. It saves money, since the materials are already in your hands. And it saves the planet, turning waste into wonder. With every bottle reused, there is one less tossed into the earth or sea. The process invites creativity. Some gardeners paint the bottles in cheerful colors. Others leave them clear to watch roots weave through soil. Some mount them neatly in rows, while others create playful patterns that climb like vines across walls. Whatever the style, the result is the same: more green, more life, more joy in spaces that once felt empty. And there is something deeply grounding about tending such a garden. Each time you water, you're reminded of transformation, how what once held soda or water now holds possibility. It's proof that beauty and responsibility can grow together, that every hand can play a role in renewal. So don't throw those bottles away. Hang them, fill them, let them bloom. And watch as your small corner of the world turns waste into a garden of hope.